Being Real group, I don't know, a week. It doesn't matter. It is The Vine Part 4. So we're in the Secrets of the Vine workbook. We're working through that. We've had a couple people actually read the book Secrets of the Vine, and they got a lot out of that, so suggest that if you haven't done it. We're kind of passing that book around in the group for anybody that wants to read the actual book itself. We're working from the workbook. Anyway, when we started talking, the first thing that kind of started coming up was somebody mentioned how unsettled they were. They didn't say it in that way, but just they were irritated kind of all week, or weren't sure, just didn't walk away feeling good. And usually they do from the Being Real. And I looked at that person and I went, really? Because I'm unsettled almost every week because we're talking about stuff that should unsettle us a little bit, especially if it's things that we learned about growing up or that we've taken as fact and maybe they weren't, or just a different way of looking at it. So I was a little bit surprised that this was the first time that she had encountered that. We're like week 45 or something. But it was awesome that she shared that, because other people then went, yeah, like this is unsettling. We're talking about stuff, not only this topic, but but the other topics we've covered. Yeah, it just kind of unsettles you. But it's in a good way, right? It's what helps you kind of get back to center. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but you can't have a firm foundation if you don't shake it a bit. Whatever. You understand what I'm saying. So anyway, we talked about that a little bit and how that was actually a good thing, and that it's good that she felt that way, and we talked about some of the things that were unsettling, and started going through that. We discussed the story of Josiah. Went into detail, about, I can't read my own writing. Okay. Went into detail about that, kind of went through, and Josiah, oh gosh, it's been like 5 days. It's been busy. I haven't had a chance to do this. I wrote it down. I can't read what I wrote down. Okay. It'll come back to me as I go. Being Real. All right, so went over the details of that. Josiah was the one that, short version, we talked about this, but short version was they found scrolls or the letters of the law buried somewhere in a place. It's just real broad. Anyway, the people weren't living by the law of the Lord or any of that stuff, and didn't realize how far they had strayed. And Josiah, when he realized how far, repented, corrected course, and the entire nation did. If you're following along in the book, you know the story. If you don't, look up the story of Josiah, because I can't read my writing. Anyway, that's the short version. We then went to talk point on page 29 and just talked about that of the study book. I don't have a study book. I don't know what the question is, but here are the responses to the question on page 29, the talk point. If you're following along, I believe it was something along the lines of, have we strayed in today's church, and why? Something along those lines. Here's what we had. People want to hear good stuff, so you don't want to hear that you're doing things wrong. You just want to hear the good. You want your ears to be tickled. I think that's in scripture somewhere too. We need to be tolerant of everyone. And that, of course, started a little bit of a conversation too, because we definitely should be tolerant of everyone. But this was more of of all the views out there, tolerant of people can say and do whatever they want. That kind of tolerance is what we were talking about. There are too many other gods and earthly influence. Too many other gods, but when we broke it down, it was earthly influences. When we say other gods, we mean other things we worship or we think are important. Distance from Scripture. We're just not on the Word. And then the power of people. We talked about somebody that that I had sent a video of, which that video is, if you're watching this, that video is back up, by the way, the thing that I sent the last week or so, back up. suggest you watch it. Anyway, one of the things that was said there and that we talked about was this great schism between Orthodox and Catholics. This person who was an Orthodox, basically said it was the throne, and it wasn't the heavenly throne; it was the earthly throne. People wanted to be in charge, and I'm not picking on that. That's like universal throughout time. I'm not saying that, but that was the divide. It wasn't a divide on like the foundational principles or anything like that. And we talked in there too about how churches have split because of the color of the carpet. Not kidding. One of the churches that how do I say this? Most of the people there are from one church. Yeah. Anyway, I'll say it like that. We know the church's people, but just bear with me. And that church split because of the translation of the Bible that was being used. Okay. That's the point. Like somebody no, this is the right. Anyway, you get it. I don't have to keep going. I should. And then we got into a topic, and we tend to get off topic sometimes. I don't know if you've noticed that. But anyway, one of the things that came up that we were talking about was Abraham's land, and how God commanded people to be killed, and how that's such a struggle, that a good God would command, people to invade and slaughter everybody there. So we talked about that, because I know at least one or two people in the group have really struggled with that specific story. So that was pretty cool to kind of talk about that and work through that collectively. And again, it's not in the workbook, but it doesn't matter. Talk about what matters. Okay. And then it was like, how do you respond to God's discipline in the wrong way? And it was like, ignore it, things like that. So we're going by the questions. We get tangents here and there, but and then how do we respond? What's the right way to respond to God's discipline? Practical, ask for forgiveness, be thankful for the growth, pray, all those kind of things is what we talked about. How do we know if it's God or Satan? That's messing with us. I shouldn't say messing with us. If it's God, it's discipline. If it's Satan, it's... Yeah. Okay. And this was brought up, which is a very good thing. Very good thing that was brought up. If it's a negative thought, it's from Satan. Because God doesn't want you to have those negative thoughts. He doesn't want you to think less of yourself. He created you. So if you're like beating yourself up, it ain't God. All right. God never attacks your worth. I'm not worthy. That's not coming from God. According to what we were talking about. And if you're close to God, if you're reading, if you're meeting with other Christians, if you're praying, if you're connected, like Spirit's in you, and you're not in you, I shouldn't say it that way, you're connected to the Spirit in you. If you're close, and something's kind of trying to tear you away or take you down a path, it's not God, Satan. Okay? Some tips. Don't ignore discipline was another thing we came up with. But it was in Hebrews 12:5. Don't ignore discipline or take it lightly. Don't just, it's a big, assess it. And we kind of worked through some practical ways to assess it. Is it from God? Is it from Satan? If it's from God, it's trying to get you back to Him. If it's from God, it's not going to be attacking your worth. It's not going to be like that. So those kind of things help you identify it. And if you identify that it's you're distant from God, then how do you get closer? Those were the kind of things that we were talking about, and we had really good discussions. We didn't, I don't remember if we even started week 3. I don't think we did. I think because we had some really good discussions, and we'll do week 3 or start that this next week. Yeah, I don't think we started that. And it doesn't matter. The book is a way to help us talk about the things that matter. So if something comes up out of the book and it spurs something else, that's where we go. And that's the cool thing about being real. We're going with it. And if somebody's struggling with something, or if there's then that's what we talk about. I mean, that's what this last one was. It was really good. So I'll be sending a message out letting us know what we're going to be working on this week. And I think about, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it this week. I don't know. I will put a message out for that. Doesn't matter. Point is, that's the summary for the week. And keep being real.